from being brand new FBOs right the way through to being sort of, top FBOs in the world of forever. So really this is for everybody, whether you're brand new or whether you are established in forever. There will be words of wisdom, nuggets, tips and ideas in this presentation that will help you, or maybe give you a light bulb moment and also make you realize exactly what you've got your hands on. Because, with forever, we are so lucky to be in this company. I remember the first time we met Edmund and Lonnie, we were on our first super rally together. And I remember the four of us sitting together, and I think they'd been in the business just a little bit longer than us. And I think we were new managers. And it was just so exciting meeting. I never met a Filipino before. So to meet these guys and to share our stories and to sort of connect in the forever way. And here we are now, 27 years on, still building, still leading from the front, them and us. And what a great journey we've had. But, yes, we're diamond managers. Yes, these guys are diamond managers, but it didn't start out that way. So let me take you on a bit of a journey, and it will help you, I guess, understand as to why we are where we are today. I can remember, as if it were yesterday, the moment I had a paradigm shift. And I think for all of us, we have paradigm shifts. These are moments in our life, in our careers, in our spiritual lives, our personal lives, our physical lives, where we have a moment where we know that something has to change. And for me, I was farming. That was my background. I had a great way of life in that I was outdoors most of the time, but I didn't earn much money. And I remember it was lambing time, and I'd been working all night in the lambing sheds. I was cold and I was wet and I was tired, and I had to get back to the house to get the kids off to school. And I remember getting into the house, I was a single mum at the time, thinking to myself, God, dear me, this is hard. I am really tired. I'm not making much money. I've got to get the kids off to school. And, you start to begin to think about being unsettled in your life. So I got the kids up, got them off to school. I came back and I sat down, had some breakfast, had a cup of tea before I was due to go and do the horses. And the postman came and dropped a whole lot of letters on the doormat. And I wearily picked myself up and went to pick them up. And the first one was a tax demand for the car, to tax the car. And I looked at the car out the window and I thought, God, it's not even worth taxing. It was so old and battered. The second one was an electricity bill, and I couldn't even afford to pay that one. The third one was a letter from my landlord saying he was going to put the rent up on the property that I was renting. And the property was horrendous. I mean, it wasn't even a nice house. It was horrible. We were kind of there making do, I guess, when I was going through this tough divorce. But it was the fourth one that made me have the paradigm shift. It was the fourth one that completely changed my outlook on life, because it was a letter from the school saying that there was a school trip coming up and would the boys both like to go on it. And I looked at how much it was to cost, and it wasn't a huge amount. Now I look at it now and it's nothing. But then when I had nothing, when I had no money, when I had no opportunity, when I was struggling, it was a huge amount. And I had to go back to my to the teachers and say they couldn't go. And my two kids were the only boys that didn't go on that school trip. And that is when I had my paradigm shift and realized that something had to change. And I think we all have those moments, even now while you're in forever. There will be times, no matter what level you are, when you have that paradigm shift where you say to yourself, this is just not good enough, something's got to change. We all have them. Mine came very early on, and I just realized something had to change. But what can I do? I'd only ever known farming all my life. That was all I knew. I knew horses, I knew sheep, that was it. I thought about going to retrain as a vet, but that was 7 years and a lot of money and no guarantee of a job at the end of it. I thought about starting a traditional business. And the challenge with that is that required a lot of money, as did a franchise, required a lot of money. I didn't have any money. And I think most people are like that. We don't have that kind of money to invest. And then there's no guarantee of success. And I almost put my head in my hands thinking, you know, maybe there isn't anything for me. Maybe I just need to carry on doing what I'm doing. And then something incredible happened, because isn't it incredible when you put out to the universe that you want change? I don't know if you believe in this, but I do. If you change your thinking, change your perspective, if you put something out to the universe, I truly believe that the universe will bring something back to you. Maybe it's because we are open. Maybe it's because we are open to suggestions, to opportunity, to ideas, when before we were closed-minded. So maybe it's when we open ourselves to all possibilities. And it was interesting because even though I was at my lowest of low in my personal life, I had a phone call from a friend and she said, why don't you come over for dinner? You know, come and have a night off. The kids had gone to see their dad. Come and have a night off. And when I went to dinner, there was John. So that night I met John, which was, you know, that would never have happened maybe if I hadn't opened my mind. And then about 3 or 4 months later, we got a phone call from a friend of ours saying, you need to come and have a look at Forever. And I always say that, you know, because I had that paradigm shift, saying to myself, enough is enough, life has to change. I truly believe that the universe was listening, and I met John and we found Forever. So that's a little bit about sort of the intro to the journey. We found Forever and we realized that we had our hands on something very special. I remember going to meet our friend Chris 27 years ago now, and it certainly wasn't like this on a webinar. We didn't even have computers back then, proper computers, and it wasn't with technology. I met him at a small cafe on the edge of a road, and he began to explain about the Forever opportunity. And if I'm being really honest with you, I didn't truly understand it all to begin with, but it felt good. And in my heart, it felt right. And here's another message. If something feels right, then you'll learn what to do. You don't need to worry that you don't know it all. You just need to consider, does it feel right for you? So I remember on that day, it was the 13th of August, 1993. We came back from meeting Chris. We were super, super, super excited. And we decided to get involved in Forever. We didn't really have the money for the box. You know, that was a big expense for us in investing in a box. But when we looked at the potential return on the investment, we began to realize that actually it was probably one of the finest business opportunities in the world today. And so we got involved. And one of the things that I will say is when you get involved in Forever, there are 2 types of people, and this is really important. There are people that join to give it a go, to see if it will work, to give it a go, to dip their toe. And then there are people that join to be successful. The minute that we registered with Forever, we didn't join to give it a go. We joined to be successful. We had no idea what success would look like, but mentally, we joined to be successful. So let me ask you a question. When you joined, how did you join? To give it a go? To try? To see if it would work? To dip your toe in and do a bit one day and nothing for a month? Or did you join to be massively successful, not even knowing what that journey would look like? You see, I truly believe that the mindset you have when you join Forever will determine your outcome ultimately. Because when you join to give it a go, it means there's always a plan B. Well, if this doesn't work, I'll find something else. If this doesn't work, I'll do something else. Whereas if you join to be successful, there is no plan B. This is it. And you will do whatever it takes in order to achieve the success that you are looking for. And that was kind of our mental state of mind. We will do whatever it takes. We will be the students, we will apply consistently, we will do whatever we have to do. And I truly believe that that mindset has carried us through to the way to be able to enjoy the business that we have today. Now, the one thing that I realized when I joined Forever was I had to change my thinking, and I had to change my thinking pretty quickly. And I think this is where a huge amount of people go wrong, because when they join Forever, they join with a job mentality. And the one thing that you can't do when you're working Forever is have a job mentality. It just won't serve you well. There are too many restrictions for people that are in jobs to allow them to go from job to entrepreneur. So this was about me changing my thinking very, very quickly. You see, when I was in a job, my thinking was limited because I was earning a wage, and wages suppress you. Let me tell you why. Because a wage is paid to you by somebody else, and that wage dictates and determines your whole quality of life. Do you understand what I'm saying? You think about it. If you've had a job, no matter how much you earn, whether it's $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, in that job, your whole life and the quality of it is determined by the wage. And that was my mindset when I first joined Forever. I've been in a job all my life, like so many people had. And you think and you act and you behave in a very different way when you're in a job. One of the things I had to get my head around was I was the boss, I was in control, and it was my future. And I had to, and I began to understand that it wasn't actually a wage I needed, it was an income. Now, wages suppress us because somebody else dictates it, but incomes liberate us because we dictate it. And it was incredible. Once I changed my thinking from that job mentality to the mentality of I'm my own boss, I'm an entrepreneur now, literally, I can do anything, be anything, have anything, go anywhere, as long as I am prepared to learn and apply, learn and apply. In other words, there is nobody holding me down like there was in a job. I am a free agent and I can do as much as I want to do. And so I had to get rid of the shackles of that job mentality. And maybe that's something that you ought to ask yourselves right now. I mean, how many of you on this call are still in a job working Forever part-time? And how many of you are still wedded to the job because you're almost fearful of letting go of it to invest in yourself and bet on yourself going forward? And think about that question. How does the job make you think? How does your Forever business make you think? It's an interesting perspective when you consider it. You consider the way you thought in a job and you consider the way you think when you become an entrepreneur. And that's what I want to talk to you now about. It's about how you have to change your thinking, change your mindset. In other words, preparation for success. You know, it is about a different way of life. It's about a different way of working. It's about a different way of engaging. But I tell you something, as far as I'm concerned, and I know, you know, everybody on this call is doing well. When you step in to the entrepreneurial Forever world and you embrace it wholeheartedly, your life is going to change beyond all recognition. Beyond all recognition. I'm just going to take a screenshot of this. So if you are on the, I can see some of you. Big smile, everybody. So I'm just going to take a picture of this one. Excellent. Okie dokie. So here we are. We're on our Forever journey. I'm just about getting started. I've joined Forever because I'm going to be successful. I'm letting go of the job mentality. And now how do I think and how I behave? Well, you need to have a real passion for Forever. We live in a very different world today than we did when, you know, Edmund and Lonnie and myself and John started. I think that people's mentalities have changed a lot today compared to when we first got involved. And I think, you know, when we got involved, we understood hard work and graft and, eyes on the game, and work hard and have a real passion and commitment to forever. And I think nowadays a lot of people, when they join, because of all of this sort of almost reality world that so many people live in, fueled by reality TV and reality contests, and everything's reality and quick achievement, and can I be a star because I've been on a show. The fact that people expect instant gratification when they do anything. They join a business, forever, any business, and they think if they're not successful within 6 weeks, and it's not going to work for them. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the way that we build a business in Forever. The first thing is, when you join Forever, you have to have a real passion for the company. Forever needs to be in you. There's a day that you get into Forever that nothing happens until the day that Forever gets into you. A real love for the company and the products, and for Rex and what he's achieved to date. I mean, if you think about it, 43 years of global growth, from humble beginnings to 160 countries, from humble beginnings to a company that quite literally has changed the world for many. And I don't have too many heroes in my life, but I'm sure, Lonnie Edmonds, you'll agree with me here that Rex has got to be one of the biggest heroes in our lives. The example he sets, the work ethic he had, the vision, the tenacity, what an entrepreneur, just incredible. And I think that all of us who are really serious about Forever, because let's face it, we don't need to work anymore. Our job's done. We're multimillionaires. We've got, it's done. But for me, I just look at Rex and I look at Greg, and I just think, this is about carrying the message on to the next generations. This is about giving the next generations the vision and the belief and the insights and some of the tips and trainings that will help them go on, and maybe in 40 years' time look back and say, and here we are, it's an 80-year company now. So you have to have a real passion for Forever, because I promise you there will be people that will try and steal your dream. There will be people that will tell you, no, not Forever, not that company. You need to be in this company, the new ABC company. We've only started 3 weeks ago, but it's going to be amazing. What a load of rubbish that is. Why would anybody get involved in a startup company? A load of rubbish. Never do it. For me, when I was looking at Forever, I wanted to tick the boxes. Was it privately owned? Yes, it was. Brilliant. No shareholders, no investors. Rex could have a direct relationship with his FBOs, and that's what he's had over the years. An incredible direct relationship with you, the FBOs, where company policy is not created on the bottom line, but is created based on how will it affect you. So you need to have a real passion for Forever. So no matter what anybody brings at you, no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody's opinion is, it doesn't matter. Because you're a Forever person. And Forever people, we're a little bit better than all those other ones. And you've got to believe that, and you've got to have that in you. If you cut me, I bleed aloe vera. It's in me, it's on me. That's who I am. So you need to have a passion for the company, because there will be the dream stealers. There will be people that will try and knock your wall down. That is normal. That is life. So be prepared for that. You need to have a huge vision. Now, when I say vision, a vision is different to goals. Goals are different to vision. A vision is about you thinking about where you can take your business. And I must admit, when I first joined Forever, we live on an island in the UK, so we're a bit insular, we're surrounded by water. Traveling is not as easy as it possibly is in other regions. But I had no idea of the concept of a global business to begin with. I was just working locally in my hometown. That was what I was doing. And then I began to realize that actually you don't need to be restricted to your hometown. You can build in another town. So my business began to expand into London, up into Birmingham, up into the north, east, south, west. And then one day, a friend of mine who lived in another country came to me. and said, Jayne, you look like you're having a huge amount of fun. You're always happy. You're always positive. Well, that's my nature anyway. She said, you look to be doing really well. What are you doing? Can I do what you do? And I had no idea about the potential of a global business. And I said, I don't know, I'll find out, leave it with me. Now, of course, she could join, and that was in Italy, and she registered and got started. And that was my first international business into Italy. And Italy is now one of my biggest producing countries in the world of forever. I would say 70%, 60% of Italy is in my team. And that all came from really beginning to embrace the global opportunity. Now, fast forward to today. You need to have a huge vision from this moment on about working locally, most impact, spreading nationally, and then going global. You know, as a result of embracing the global opportunity, we now have a business where we get paid from 40 different countries every single month. And I'm sure, you know, Edmund and Oni are exactly the same. Huge global businesses that create multiple income streams, not just on a monthly basis, but at the end of each year, a chairman's bonus. But equally as importantly, from an entrepreneurial point of view, spreads the risk. You know, if you suddenly have a country whereby there's a political problem, I'll give you an example. I have a huge business in Kenya. And about 6-7 years ago, they had a really difficult presidential election time where it resulted in bloodshed on the streets, it resulted in lockdowns, it resulted in it was horrendous. And for about 3 months, my business just dropped there because everybody was, you know, locked away in their homes, too scared to come out. Political unrest is not good. But it didn't matter because South Africa, Nigeria, Botswana, Zimbabwe, you know, all of them were growing. So it's a great idea to make sure that you have got business around the globe. And with the webinars, with Zoom, with WhatsApp, it's not difficult to build a business globally now. And the marketing plan rewards you more now than ever with your global goals. So when you're working with a new FBO, keep that in mind, because it's really important that everybody you recruit, they know people locally, but they also know people nationally. We live in a small world really now in the way that we connect. You need to have emotional goals. Now, I can honestly say that my goals at the beginning of my journey in Forever were so emotional that they kept me up late at night. They got me up early in the morning, and I was 100% committed and focused to them. And that was because I joined to be successful. Remember, there was no, I'll give it a go. You see, I don't believe you have a connection to your goal if your mindset is, I'll give it a go. There just isn't a connection. Because it's too easy to quit when your mindset is, I'll give it a go. So my emotional goal, when I first started Forever, the one goal that really fired me was private education for my kids. Now, I had 2 little boys, and I dreamt ever since I was a young, you know, when they were babies, of giving them good education. But here in the UK, to educate one child in a top school, you're looking at 50 to 60,000 pounds. That's maybe about $100,000 every single year for one child. Now, I had 2 children. How was I ever going to do that on a job? You know, I wasn't making much more than about 24,000 a year in my job. And my emotional goal was to educate my kids. And this was the driver, this emotional goal that I internalized, that I conceptualized, that I was emotional about, was the thing that got me off the starting blocks and into momentum really, really quickly. You see, you can't stroll to a goal. You know, you've got to sprint to a goal because you need to create momentum. And it was no accident that by the end of my first year in Forever, both my boys were in top fee-paying schools. I was driven. Everywhere I went in the house, I had pictures of the goals on goal boards. I had the goals in my dream book. I had the goals in my diary. I pick, I have a dream book where I take visual images of things that stimulate me. So when I look at them, I have that connection with them. And you must do the same. And you must teach your new FBOs to do the same. They need to be able to see the thing that is their driving force. Because again, the mind can only focus on the stimulation of a goal. It can't focus on a thought, a whim, a dream, a wish. The mind focuses on specifics. So you need to have real clarity on your goal. You need to know it down to the finest detail. And what I mean by that is when you have a goal that really inspires you and intrigues you, first of all, you need to write it down, because the written down goal is a goal that you'll commit to. Then you need to visual image it, i.e. every visual representation you can find of it, you need to have in a dream book. And then you need to plan it. In other words, when do you want to achieve it? So the end date, and then you work the end date back to today. So for me, it was very simple. Getting the kids into school, I had an end date, which was the 5th of September, 1994, because that was the new term date. And I joined on the 13th of August, 1993. So 1 year it took me to get the boys into school. So all I did was put that date in my diary, then work it back. What did I need to do every day? What did I need to do every week? What did I need to do every month, every quarter, every half, every 3 quarters, every year in order to achieve my goal? Simple as that. Now, again, once you've got the goal in place, then you need to be disciplined. This is business. This is not do a bit one day and nothing for another day. This is about focusing on the disciplines that enable us to become professional network marketers. And we need to take responsibility. It's so easy to wait for somebody else to do it for us. It's so easy to wait for our uplines to put another training on, or to come and do one-to-ones, or do a team meeting, or do this or do that. We have to take responsibility. It is to be, it's down to me. And right on day one, I never expected anybody to do anything for me. And that was partly because I didn't understand that an upline would actually do something for you, because my upline was rubbish. I am eternally grateful for him giving me the opportunity, and every day I thank him. But as an upline, he was rubbish. So therefore, why would I depend on somebody who didn't have the same focus, the same attitude, the same drive, the same work ethic? Why would I wait for him? Why would I not believe in myself and say, go, let's do it? Okay, I got a lot of things wrong. But you know something? When you get something wrong, this is where you learn the most. Because if you're committed to the business and you get something wrong, you go, oh man, that was really bad. But how can I do it better next time? If you're not committed to the business, if you have an attitude of, I'll give it a go, you get something wrong, you go, oh, well, never mind. That's the difference in the mental mindset of, I'm going to be successful and I'll give it a go. So I took responsibility, myself and John took responsibility from day one that we would build our business. We would not be dependent on anybody else. We would be grateful for any input, but we would not be dependent on somebody else to build our empire. And I think that is a great bit of advice I can give you. Each and every one of you have within you the ability to be diamond, double diamond, to be unbelievably successful, but you've got to start believing that. You have to believe in yourself. We can believe in you, but you ultimately have to believe in yourself as well. And that can be tough sometimes, can't it? We live in a world where, if you think about it, the whole world is designed to pull people down. But in Forever, we design it where we lift you up. The greatest joy for me, and I'm sure it's the same for Edmund and Lonnie, is when you're working with people and you see them and you help them and you coach them and they step into their own brilliance. And what I love about that is that ability for a new FBO, when they first work with you, they have an element of dependency. They need to quickly be shown how to do a one-to-one, how to prospect, how to speak to somebody, how to do a BP, and they are quite dependent. But as quickly as possible, you need to become what we call interdependent, where you can do as much of it as possible, but with your upline overseeing and brainstorming and planning with you to expand your thinking. And then you get to the stage where you are completely independent, and that is when you know you are a great leader, because you're building independent businesses. The other thing you need to do is learn how to handle rejection. Oh man, that was a massive one for me. I was not good. I was terrible when I first started at handling the word no. If someone said no to me, that was it. I was a wreck. I would go outside and disembowel myself with a blunt spoon. I couldn't handle the word no. Why? Because I took it personally. And my nature, the very nature, my own personality is, I can't stand it when people reject me without first at least looking at the information. I don't mind if people say no when they've looked, but what I couldn't understand was when people say no without even looking. Because to me, that doesn't make sense. Does it make sense to you? Why would they do that? But anyway, I had to learn how to handle rejection, and I had to learn it quickly. And I could do a whole training just on that one subject about how to overcome rejection, how to waterproof your FBOs, how to turn a no into a yes. I mean, that's a completely standalone training. But what I have taught myself to do, and I teach my FBOs to do, is a no is never a no. It's just a no today. My 25th manager said no to me for 7 years. But you see, because I learned how to handle rejection, it didn't bother me anymore. 7 years later, she said yes, went on to be my 25th manager that sent me diamond. So you need to learn how to handle rejection, handle no, and handle other people's opinions. And you need to learn how to teach. You need to learn how to handle disappointment. How many of you have been striving for a goal? Edmund, Lonnie, I'm going to ask you the same question, because we've all been in this place where we've been striving for a goal, a big goal, and it didn't happen. It's the feeling of not achieving a goal. It's you know, when you are in network marketing, really in it, where you've given yourself to the industry, it's a hard pill to swallow when you don't achieve a goal. Now, what do? Do you have an attitude of, oh, well, it just doesn't matter. It wasn't that important anyway. In which case you need to sharpen up, because it does matter. It does matter if you don't achieve a goal. It does matter. Are you going to reset your goals? Are you going to reset your activities? Are you going to look at the people that you're working with and ask yourself a question? Are they the right people to be working with? Or are you going to let the disappointment stop you taking any action whatsoever? Because I've been in a situation, I remember it quite clearly when I was probably about a sapphire manager, and we had a goal we were going for and we didn't achieve it. And I took it really badly. And because I didn't learn how to handle the I wouldn't say failure, because I don't believe we ever fail. You know, we never fail. We learn and we grow, but we don't fail. But how did I handle that disappointment? Not well. And what happens is it stopped me building a business for about 3 or 4 months, maybe 5 months, because I was just eaten up by the disappointment of what I didn't achieve, rather than saying, okay, let's get over it. I didn't do it. Why didn't it happen? What could I change? Was it me? Was it the team? How do we reboot? And boom, you're off again. And so handling disappointment at any level is really important, but it's equally important for you to be able to make sure that you help your FBOs who are working towards 4 case credits, working towards supervisor, assistant manager, help them with their disappointment if things don't go right. You know, sometimes it can be as simple as they were going to recruit 2 people this month, but they didn't join. And they get so disappointed they don't work the month after. So it can be little things and it can be major things. Be a self-starter. I think I've covered that. Don't wait for somebody else. And here's a really important one, and that is work on your communication skills. Learn how to be a great interactor with people. In other words, when you're prospecting, conversation flows freely. When you engage with people you don't know, you can quickly get into people and chat with them. When you're working with a small team, you can get your message over succinctly and professionally. When you're doing a bigger presentation, you can engage with people so they'll listen and take notes and then act upon your information. Communication skills are really, really important. And basically, they come as a result of doing. The more you do, the better you become at talking to people. And at the end of the day, we are paid storytellers. We share stories, a story of forever, a story of aloe, a story of building a business, a story of success. We're paid storytellers, so become an eloquent storyteller. This is a really good one. Don't count the hours. You know, I hear so many people say, oh yeah, I'm working part-time. I go, well, what does part-time mean? Yeah, just 10 hours a week. Well, why? You know, you've got more than 10 hours a week. Why are you counting the hours? You know, this is your business. You're the entrepreneur now. Do you think Richard Branson counts the hours? You think about it. Entrepreneurs don't count the hours. They do what needs to be done until they get the success they're looking for. And basically, entrepreneurs never quit. You know, I've had tough times. I've had tough years, tough months, tough weeks. But I tell you something, never, ever, ever, ever have I, even for one moment, thought I was going to quit forever. And again, as leaders, this will help you create an aura, a charisma, a presence with your attitude of these entrepreneurial points where your team believe in you. Because if you are a strong leader, now this doesn't mean to say you need to know it all, but your personality traits are strong, then I promise you your team will follow you to the ends of the earth. But if you're not, if you don't learn these entrepreneurial points, if you don't integrate them into the way you build your business, your team don't have confidence in you. So you have to be a strong leader so your team believes in you, because everybody needs to believe in somebody. And that's why we all believe in Rex and the quality he shows and the disciplines that he showed. And I know when I started out on my journey, I very often would say to myself, I wonder what Rex would have done. Yeah, so make sure that you integrate some of these entrepreneurial points into the way you build a business. Now, one of the things that I learned very quickly is it's a simple business. And most people overcomplicate it. And I've seen it time and time and time again, especially now with access to so much information online. You know, people become sort of online junkies rather than doing junkies. They sit searching all day. They sit on Facebook all day. They sit Googling all day. They sit reading all day rather than doing. And I can categorically tell you every single day I use the product, and a lot of it. And I wonder, do you all use a lot of product? In using a lot of product, I can obviously retail products. And interestingly, the products I retail are the products I use. Because the products I use, I can share with integrity. I can share from the heart. I can share with belief. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I don't use all the products. It's almost impossible to use all of them. But the products that are my core products that I built my business on and teach the team to build the business on have stood us well over the years. And then we recruit, and we recruit every single day. We're looking to engage, to prospect and recruit. Literally, we're going through that process every day. And as we begin to recruit people, the key here is to duplicate. And the quicker that you can duplicate, the quicker that you'll begin to move through to positions. And I guess what I'm saying to you is as you begin to pull all of these components together, as you begin to work on yourself and understand that entrepreneurial mindset and spirit, as you begin to focus on the basics, and in focusing on the basics, become more effective every single day on doing the basics, because that's what you get paid on, then the results will come. And the results for me were quite simple. We went supervisor in 5 weeks, we went manager in 14 weeks, and diamond manager in 7 years. And I look back on that now and I wonder, could I have done it any quicker? But here's the thing, it's not about the speed you do it. It's about the very fact you do it. You know, if it takes you 12 weeks to get to supervisor, that's okay, you did it. If it takes you 6 months, 8 months, a year to get to manager, it's okay because you did it. If it takes you 10 years, 12 years, 15 years to get to diamond, it's okay because you did it. What's not okay is not doing it. You see, everybody's journey is slightly different. I mean, there are people in forever now that are doing what I did much, much quicker because of all of the new concepts that we have in place. But everybody's journey is different, and understand this when you're working with people. Everybody's journey is different. I'll give you a little example. A couple of years ago, I sponsored 2 girls in the same month. One was a girl called Emma, and Emma is a consultant orthopedic surgeon. So very, very busy in her job. And I recruited another girl called Donna, and Donna was a sales rep for Cadbury Mars. And both of them had little tiny babies. When I say babies, I mean sort of 6, 8 months old. And both of them were leaving their children in childcare while they were working. So one's an orthopedic consultant, one's a sales rep. Both of them joined Forever because they wanted to have work-lifetime balance to be with their families. Now, Donna got to manager in 6 months. She's the sales rep. And Emma got to manager in 18 months. Which one's the best? There is no best, because their journeys were peculiar and particular to them. Did I say to Emma, well, you're no good because you're taking too long? No. Here's the thing, she didn't have any more time. She was in surgery every single day. She didn't have much time. She was even prospecting as she was scrubbing up to go into the operating theatre. Whereas Donna had a lot more time because she had the freedom while she was on the road selling to stop, make a call, stop, have a cup of coffee and meet somebody, whereas Emma didn't. So everybody's journey is peculiar to them. You've just got to make sure that you and your team are on the journey. And I will give you a little bit of advice. I don't know what positions you all are on this call here today, but I will give you some advice. And this is some of the best advice I can give you. Get to manager as quickly as possible. Because when you are a manager, you have an element, you have a certain income and you have a certain status and you've learned a certain amount of skill sets. And you will have people come to you that go, oh my goodness, what are you doing? You can say, well, I'm a manager, you know, I make a couple of $1,000s a month. And that is what they want. How long did it take you to get to manager? It took me 6 months or 8 months or a year. Brilliant. I can do what you do. Or they could say, how long did it take you to get to manager? Well, it took me 6 years. And people go, wow. Because they haven't got 6 years to wait. They want to make money now. They need to be putting money on their table, feeding their kids, educating their kids now. So the quicker that you have a success story, the quicker they're going to buy into you. Now, it could be, you know, well, I got the supervisor in 5 weeks. Brilliant. You have a success story because there's an element of income associated with that. In the UK, if you're a supervisor, you're normally making about £400, which is about $600. So if you could say to somebody, well, look, you know, in 5 weeks, I made $600, they'll go, show me how. But if you say, oh yeah, within 2 years, I made $500, it's not they don't love you, it's not they don't like you, but they can't wait 2 years to make $600. So you have to have a real sense of urgency when you're building this business. And that urgency is to get to manager as quickly as possible. But not unless you've got a team with you, because you don't want to get to manager and have what I call a hollow pin. In other words, I've got the pin, but I've got no income. You need a manager team. And I always say about 15 to 25 people in your team, good, strong manager business, 1,500 to 2,500 a month. whoops, excuse me a minute, it's got a bit wrong. So we live in a changing world. Now, this is quite relevant to where we are today. You know, a lot of people say to me, Jayne, you know, your story is amazing. You know, what you've learned is amazing. The leader that you've become is amazing. But, you know, what do we do today? We are living in a world that is unprecedented. I don't know about you guys, but this is mad. You know, this pandemic we're living through, you know, we're in lockdown again in the UK. I mean, we're in lockdown now. We're in lockdown until the 2nd of December. You know, well, we've been in lockdown pretty much all year, where we can't go out, we can't do things, we're restricted, we're shielding elderly. This is bonkers. It's a completely different way of living and existing, and I think it's going to be like this pretty much for the next 2-3 years until there is a safe vaccine or we learn to live with it. And so in a changing world, we have to be prepared to change. And it's fascinating seeing how people have adapted to work in this new workplace. And I think that we all have to embrace new ideas, be prepared to change, and embrace a new era and generation of people that we recruit and the way that we work online. And we have spent the last 6 to 8 months completely updating and reviewing and bringing all of our assets online to make a simple, duplicatable process, which means no matter where we are, no matter what, whether we're in lockdown, whether we can travel or not, that we can build our entire business online. Now, I'm not just talking about this. I'm not talking about the trainings, because actually it's quite easy to do a training online. I'm talking about working online. I'm talking about the recruiting process. I'm talking about when you actually recruit somebody and go to work with them and build them a business all online. I'm talking about how you get them selling products online. Not these trainings, these are easy. I'm talking about how you engage and work with people online. And I'm telling each and every one of you that you need to start looking at what you're doing and saying, is what I'm doing serving me well online? Because for those people that have adapted and changed, they are seeing some monumental growth right now. I had one of my team on last week from South Africa, Nobili, Edmund and Lonnie, you'll know Nobili and Percy. They, in the last 10 months, since South Africa's been hit pretty hard, South Africa traditionally in my business was a business that was all offline. Nobody used online methods because traditionally as a culture, it's an offline business, in the home, face to face, big meetings, big gatherings, big excitement, rah, 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 everybody gets, you know, motivated and joins. And I think it's a little bit like that in the Philippines, isn't it? People love coming together. You know, you've got a very community-driven culture, which I love, and to me that's a great way of building a business. But she and Percy had to change, and they literally took their entire business online, and it wasn't easy. You know, as Nabili said, she'd never done a live Facebook, she'd never recruited off Facebook, she'd never done meetings and training, she'd never worked with people online. But they did it, they got it wrong, and they did it, and they got it wrong, and they did it again, and they got it wrong. And let me tell you what she's achieved this year so far. She's done 1,600 new non-manager cases this year already. She's recruited and developed 5 new frontline managers. She is knocking on the door of being 10,000 GLT. I think she probably will. And she's got a new GLT member in Botswana that will come onto the team, onto the GLT team as well, potentially knocking on the door of 10,000 herself. So the point I'm making to all of you is, don't be scared of change. Change is good, but make sure that you bring your offline stuff online. So if you're in a lockdown, if the virus kicks off and in the countries you live in, you haven't got that freedom to move, you can be completely flexible working an online business. Now, for me, you know, we've worked online for 3, 4, 5 years in the UK. So it's nothing new to us. And in some ways, that's a disadvantage because people go, yeah, we're all used to doing it online. But the people that have never done it online, it's been so exciting. It's put their businesses into huge momentum. It's been incredible to watch. But the one thing I do know going forward is we're never going to go back to the old ways. We just aren't. We can't fully go back to the old ways because the world has changed. So if the world has changed, we need to change. Now, that doesn't need to be huge changes where you throw all your systems out, but you need to look at everything you're doing, you know, come together, look at what you're doing and saying, is this working in this world that we live in today? You know, just to put it into context, we do 4 BPs a week online, and we changed them a little bit. And I will just give you a couple of tips on this. You know, a business presentation is quite factual and it's quite just slide driven. You know, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this. And, you know, we thought, well, how can that, because everybody's working online, even in jobs, I think people get a bit sick and tired of just Zoom calls. So how can we make it different? So what we do is we do a 30-minute business presentation, and we do it quite quick and fast and factual, very visually driven. So the visual images are very stimulating. But just before we do the presentation, we do 20 minutes of meet the team. So if I'm hosting the BP, I will bring 4 or 5 of my team members on from all backgrounds, all walks of life, because they will be the story that will inspire the prospects that have logged on to join us. So I could have a mummy who's got 2 children and she's working her forever business at home around her mummies. I could have a corporate executive. I've got a bank manager that I had on the other night. I had a nurse on, and I had a lawyer on. And all I do is I just have a chat and I just say, hey, thanks for joining us. Now all the prospects are watching this. And I just say, you know, to the mummy, I said, tell us a bit about your background. How did you find forever? Now, we have trained them on what to say. So it's not just, we don't know what they're going to say. We have trained them on what to say. So in other words, the mummy, we need their story. How did you get into forever? How do you work it around the children? Because any other mummy that's listening will be going, wow, I could do that. That sounds interesting. You know, what is it giving you? So the mummy could say, well, my forever income has allowed me to give my children their riding lessons, their gym lessons. It's allowed me to be at the school gates, or, you know, at the moment. And so all the other mummies are going, that's what I want. That's what I want. I don't want to leave my kids in childcare. I want to be with them. Then I speak to an exec and I'd say, I had a teacher on the other night and I said, okay, Sue, tell us how you found forever. So she did. And I said, how, you know, what kind of business have you built around teaching? And so anybody that was in teaching or community, you know, so these little 3 or 4 minute interviews set the scene up for the online presentation. And we've seen our recruiting go up, 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 because it's not just been, this is forever, this is Rex, this is the company, this is our product, this is our opportunity. We've had this little 15, 20 minute chat with all the people that are having a great time in forever. And then everybody that's watching is like, wow, we need to now find out what they're doing. And then we do the presentation. So just that little change, a 15-minute change in what we do, has made 100% difference in the results. So maybe something you can implement, maybe it'll be good for you, I don't know. So just to kind of sum up, because I've probably taken up too much of your time, I do enjoy talking, as you probably gathered. You know, I look back to when I first started in Forever, and I was farming, sheep farming and horses. And I look back now at those days and I just think, wow, what would have happened if I'd have said no to Forever? What would my life look like now if I'd have said no to Forever? Now, don't get me wrong, you know, I still have a farm, I've still got land, I still go riding. We have a farmer who rents the land and he puts sheep all over it so I don't have to do it. I'm still a farmer in my heart because I love the outdoors and I love animals. But I tell you something, I don't want to work the long hours in the wet, the cold. I don't want to be underpaid and undervalued. And then I look at my life now. And I look at you remember I told you I was living in a horrible little house that had no heating and it was just horrible. And I look at my house now and I just think, you know, even now when I look at a picture of it, it amazes me that the difference between where I was 27 years ago and where I am now. And this was my dream, to build this kind of house. And this was an old barn that was ruined when we bought it. And you can't even see, there's another house behind it where my dad lives, a beautiful old farmhouse. And to the left of the screen, my office is in that building, which is all connected to the house. So it's where I'm sitting now. And I would never have had anything like this if I had said no to forever. And I wouldn't have been able to educate my kids. You know, I've given them the top schooling that money can buy, the top schools, the top universities, the top personal tutors, the top coaches. I gave them all that. And as a result, they've turned out to be pretty cool entrepreneurial kids in their own right. And I think the best thing you can give a child is a good education, and you can give them a good example by what you do. You know, Edmund, Lonnie, you've done the same for your kids and they're following in your footsteps clearly, but you've been the example to them. You know, when you're the example to your children, you're not sitting on the sofa drinking beer every night. You're not playing games on the Xbox. You're not working. You are participating. You are on the playing field, playing full out. So not only do we have this home here, but we also have a beautiful home in the south of France, which sadly we can't go to at the moment because we can't travel there. The borders are closed to us. And I never thought we'd have a home in the south of France, but you know, it's beautiful down there as well. And it's a place we can go with the family, with friends, and we work from there, we play from there. It's absolutely brilliant. Obviously, it allows us to drive nice cars. When I first joined Forever, my car was so embarrassing. It was an old Jeep and it had sheepdogs and horse tack in it, and it was really old and battered. And I remember when I got my first Mercedes from Forever, oh my God, I was beside myself. I didn't drive it for the first 2 or 3 days because I was scared to. And now we have beautiful cars paid for by Forever. And cars are great. I love them, but I'm not as motivated by cars as I am by travel and things that we can do around the world. We have an amazing safari lodge in Uganda. We have a safari input into Zimbabwe. I'm big into the safari world. We have a charity in Malawi. We truly believe that if you have to give. And when my mother passed away, we started a charity to support the people in Malawi because the nurses that looked after my mum were Malawian and they were like angels sent to us. So we built a water well to bring them fresh water. We built a maize mill so they could grind their maize. We built the school and we built a small medical centre as well. And I can tell you, when I go to Malawi and you're with these people living in their mud huts and being in the village with them, to know that you've made a difference in their lives is so rewarding. It's totally unbelievable. So even if you just give back a little, make sure you give back, because money has to flow. Money's no good if it comes in and doesn't do anything. It can't just be all about the toys or the way of life. You have to be able to impact people that don't have what you have, even if it's in a small way, even if it's only $5, $10, $15, $20 a month. You need to give back. It's the psyche of the flow of financial money, And if you read Richest Man in Babylon, which is a fable, which is one of the first books I ever read about money management, you'll read in there about, yes, we need to look after ourselves, number one. Then we need to help others. And then we need to give to those that will never have what you have. Build a team that spans 40 countries around the world. We've got over 1 million FBOs in our team. I still can't believe that. 1 million FBOs in our team, 5 double diamonds, 9 diamonds. These are old, actually. I need to get these updated. We've got more than 9 diamonds. We had a new diamond manager in South Africa recently, so this is way out of date. But just to let you know that we've got a huge team, all because we said yes. And I want you to think about that. You see, your decisions that you make, whatever it may be, don't just impact you, but they're going to impact the world. So make sure that you make wise decisions, wise choices. It's not just about you. If you want to build a big business, you've got to come from contribution. You've got to come from love. You hear Rex say that. The power of forever is the power of love. And I never used to understand that to begin with, but now I do. If you genuinely want to contribute to others, then you are going to make a difference to people that you will never even meet. I love to travel. I love to roam around the world. I'm a big traveler. Traveling to me is my passion. And so this year, we've not left the country once. It's been the hardest year of my life, and it's taught me a lot about me. But, you know, we've traveled the world literally. I'm a keen photographer, and Forever's allowed me to indulge my passion of photographing wildlife, getting up close and personal to wildlife in the big outdoors. This was me and Matt in the desert. We were actually with the nomads in the desert. It was brilliant. This was us in Namibia, tracking wild elephant, just amazing. But Forever lets you do that. I couldn't do that if I was in a job. A, I couldn't afford it, and B, they wouldn't give me the time. This bottom right, we were away for a month in our vehicle traveling around Africa. It's given us time with our family and friends, which to me is, they're the wind beneath my wings. You know, without family, without the family and the desire to give them a better life, then what's it all about? And the freedom to be with those that you love and care for is second to none. And then there's Chairman's Bonus. Well, Chairman's Bonus, our first ever check in 1996 was $20,000. Probably yours was about the same, Edmund Lonnie, probably the very first one, about $20,000. But going on over the years, one of the things that we've seen is that we've had over 14 million in Chairman's Bonus alone. And, you know, all we do every day is use the product, share the opportunity, and teach others to do the same. We work with those that are hungry for success, and we do not put our time into those that are time wasters. There's a bit of good advice for you. But it's not just about what we've had, it's about showing our team how to build a check for them as well. And to see our team pick up, here's Nabili and Percy who are going mad in South Africa at the moment, but to see the team pick up the checks that they do and to see how it's changed their lives brings joy into my heart. So knowing that we have literally hundreds of people in our team around the world picking up checks puts a big smile on my face. I remember once saying to Rex when we picked up our first $1 million check, when I really seriously couldn't breathe, I thought I was going to pass out on the stage. It was beyond my wildest dreams ever. And I said, Rex, how can I ever say thank you? He said, the way you can say thank you, Jayne, is show more people to do what you do. And I've never forgotten that. So it's not just about the thousands of lives. It's whatever we do, we create a ripple effect. And it's not about us, it's not about you. It's about the effect that you have on the rest of the world as a result of you saying yes to Forever, yes to taking action, yes to being consistent, yes to getting to manager, yes to getting to diamond, yes to being a CP qualifier, yes to being an eagle. Say yes to it all. You'll change your life and you'll change the lives of millions of other people around the world as well. I hope that the last half an hour, 45 minutes have been informative. I hope you've all got some little nuggets there that you can implement into the way that you think and you act and the way that you build your business, because I promise you, in this new world that we're going into now, this is the perfect opportunity to give people peace of mind, to secure their families' futures, and to allow them to live safely and freely without the worries that are outside of their control. So thank you, Rex, for your vision, and thank you, Edmund and Lonnie, for having me today.
Wow, I'm speechless. Unbelievable training, Jayne. Unstoppable, you know.